It is the Riot Podcast. Hudson here with you. Isaiah here with you as well. It's another day without Nikki. In the podcast, we will get to and explain where Nikki has been and continues to be. It shouldn't be a huge shock to anybody, but we will explain that in the podcast.
Yeah, we talk about that. We also get to talk a little bit about the past weekend in sports. It was a great one.
Great one for,
everybody that wasn't cheering for the losing teams.
Yeah, it wasn't so great, particularly for me as a Packers fan, and particularly for Aaron Rodgers. He was getting a lot of criticism, although I don't know, today, because of how the Bills game finished out, the Bills and Chiefs, it feels like it is to his benefit in a way that his game was on Saturday.
Yep,
and then the other two games got to go down on Sunday that were so entertaining and had so much to talk about with that it's almost like Aaron Rodgers gets left behind. But it's still going to be tough for him. It's going to be a tough off season. And I don't know. What are you thinking, Isaiah? Because I was running through it. I can see a scenario where he returns to the Packers. I see a slight scenario. I really do. I see a slight scenario where he returns to the Packers, but at the same time, he's got to be so frustrated. He's lost to the 49ers now, what is it, four times in the playoffs? 4 times in the playoffs, yeah. They were a 1 seed. They got a bye in the first round, and they had everything set up for them. And they didn't even score more than 10 points. That's terrible. We didn't get to address it in the podcast, in the coming where we do talk about the Packers, but It's tough for me because he's not going to retire. I can't imagine he retires with this being his last game and coming off of an MVP. He's still got more to prove, and he's too proud of a guy. But it is hard to imagine him coming back to the Packers. I can see a scenario, and I'll tell you why. Because him going anywhere else is just as much a crapshoot as him staying in Green Bay, where he's got it set up. Here's the problem, though. For him to stay in Green Bay, Davante Adams, they have to re-sign him because he's a free agent. And I don't think if Davante Adams is out of Green Bay, I don't think that might be the last straw for Aaron Rodgers. Yep. But wherever he's going to wind up, then that probably means no Davante Adams, and that means he's got to start over. And man, I don't know where do you think the best fit for him is? Where do you think is most likely? I think there's a couple different landing spots for him that I think are realistic. I think everybody keeps on bringing up the Broncos as a possible landing spot for him, as they have a solid defense, they have some good weapons there. I don't love the Broncos fit. Everybody's throwing that one out there. I really don't love that fit. One that I think is intriguing is the Colts. I think the Indianapolis Colts would be an intriguing fit just because they aren't sold on Carson Wentz. The GM and the court said they aren't sold on him as the option for as the main option for next year. I think if they swung for the fences and went for Aaron Rodgers, that would be a really intriguing fit there with Frank Reich and the Colts. But I don't know, it's just so tough. And I mean, there's so many different spots that he could go. But I mean, he's playing with the best wide receiver in football. The Packers were the 1 seed this year. Yeah, should have been. So they were a Super Bowl contender. They have been pretty much every year. So it's hard to leave that and go somewhere else and start anew, trying to develop chemistry with wide receivers and coaching staff and offensive coordinators. So it's just a lot to move. And they've shown a lot of that they are willing to negotiate with him a lot. Yes, which leads me to think that Jordan Love sucks. And I mean, a lot of us have been led to think Jordan Love sucks based off of that one game he played. That said, though, it's just a really broken relationship. And I really have to question, I know they've won 13 games, 3 years in a row now? Yep. I don't know that means that Matt LaFleur is really that great of a coach. No. When you come off of a bye week and your team just has, after that first round of that first drive they score a touchdown and you can't get anything off the ground after that, you can't say that that's all Aaron Rodgers, even if he didn't play his best game. I think that's a lot of the coaching staff. And obviously the special teams is just a mess. So it makes me wonder if he wants to stick around and deal with that. And I kind of picture him. It's hard to picture him. Hard to find a place to picture him that actually makes sense. That is doable. The Colts probably might seem like the best fit. I don't know. I always thought Miami, because let's be honest, he feels like a Florida man. He does. But he feels like a Southern boy. Yeah, but with them firing their coach, and they do have Tua, I don't know if that's something that they're in the mood for. So I don't know. We'll see. What else is in the podcast?
Yeah, we talked about the Packers. We also talked about the other games from this past weekend. We talked about Bills, Chiefs, some other fantastic divisional games. We talked about how Sonic is coming onto the hard seltzer scene out of nowhere. We also talked about some litter boxes in school bathrooms, which were a little bit controversial. Yeah. We also talked about how you shouldn't be sharing at-home COVID tests. And me and Hudson got into a little bit of an argument about that.
Yes, we did.
And then we finished it off by talking about a boy who he lost his nipples. How else do you describe that?
He was dealt a bad nipple.
Yep,
by his classmates.
Oh, he did just a horrific story. So that's kind of what we had in the podcast today.
This is what you get with No Nikki. We talk about nipple loss and
sharing Q-tips
and a lot of football.
Oh, we loved it. It was a good day today.
Good show, and we will catch you tomorrow.
Bye.
Why pay for so many streaming services that you don't really care about when you can not really care about the Riot for free? RadioU.
Let's just talk about it, Isaiah. Over the weekend, all kinds of football happened, but the most important and the most heartbreaking was obviously when my Green Bay Packers gave their Super Bowl hopes away to the San Francisco 49ers. If you missed the game, it was played in Green Bay, snowy, cold, everything you ask for in a Lambeau Field football game. And that also led to not a lot of offense from either team. And what eventually wound up happening is it was a 10-3 game. The Packers not moving the ball very well. They have to punt after a 3-and-out in their own territory. The punt gets blocked. The 49ers recover it in the end zone. The Packers get the ball back, after they get the touchdown. The Packers get the ball back. Can't go down the field. Aaron Rodgers can't do anything. And the 49ers somehow managed to go down and kick a field goal as time expires to win the game. It really hurt. It hurt me.
It was one of the most. It was obviously the most surprising game of the weekend. As every other game was a toss-up. Essentially, you didn't know if the Bills or Chiefs were going to win. You didn't know if the Rams or Buccaneers were going to win. You didn't know if the Titans or Bengals were going to win. And they all were toss-ups. It was very great games this weekend. But the one thing that everybody thought was going to happen was the Packers were going to dismantle the 49ers.
We all assumed, and you know what happens when you assume.
Yeah, the 49ers somehow. Their defense played great. It was great in the elements, and they ended up doing enough to get the win. But it was just a surprising game. For sure, it definitely puts into question, the Packers situation with Aaron Rodgers and adds a bunch of question marks. But definitely ends the season and for the Packers who were hoping to who were like the favorite to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, of course, it raises a lot of questions about the Packers, but of course, it raises more questions and more importantly about me and how I'm doing. And nobody here, I pray to God I never get divorced because you guys will never check in on me.
Oh, my goodness. I knew that if I texted you, it would just put stain in the wound. I wasn't even going to bring it up. I wasn't even going to talk about it until it was the segment. On
Saturday night, even my wife trying to console me, it's like, it's not going to work. Nothing's going to help. But Sunday morning, if you wanted to check in, like, hey, rough night last night, huh? It might have been nice.
See, I didn't want to text you because I knew that if I texted you, it would feel like it was rubbing dirt in the wound, Like, there was no way for me to send a text checking in on you.
Yeah.
That wouldn't sound like, how about them Packers last night? Like every single text I would have sent would have sounded like that. And I literally came in today. I was like, all right, I'm not going to say anything about the NFL.
Yeah, you weren't going to bring it up.
I wasn't even going to bring it up until the segment. I was like, whenever we're going to talk about it, and I look at our sheet. I'm like, oh, Packers right away. I'm like, all right, well, I don't have to wait very long.
We have to get it out of the way. And but yes, it would have been nice for somebody to check in and just say, yeah, I hope you're doing all right. Just make sure that I wasn't too deep in my own
I knew you were doing all right. I wouldn't be doing okay.
You know what? I remember last week we talked about the 5 stages of grief?
Yes.
I think I went through them all.
Every single one?
Yeah. It really felt like a breakup where it's like,
I bet.
There was the anger, of course, at first.
Oh,
very upset.
Just total annihilation of anger.
Especially the way it happened with the blocked punt. That never happens in the NFL. The punt gets blocked. And then, there was some denial in there. You kept thinking like, well, hold on a minute. Wait a second. Maybe there's something we're missing. And nope, nothing ever changed. And, eventually we've come around to acceptance. But now it's just the question marks of how much can I really put the blame on Aaron Rodgers? Where do I want him to leave? Do I want him to stay? Do I want to keep cheering for the Packers? Do I want to cheer for him if he goes elsewhere? Am I going to be comfortable if he stays? And is that like, do we really think that anything's going to change? I don't know if I have answers to a lot of those questions.
I don't know if I have answers to any of those questions. I feel like after this weekend, it was tough because obviously Rodgers didn't play as great as playoff performance.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he didn't lose them the game either. Like he definitely didn't win them the game.
Yeah, which is tough to see, especially, and we will talk about this in due time, when you see the way Josh Allen and Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford and Joe Burrow, just everybody except Ryan Tannehill, you see how they performed over the weekend. And then you see Aaron Rodgers. Well, I guess Jimmy Garoppolo. Even Jimmy Garoppolo had a better end-of-game situation than Aaron Rodgers. That is tough to swallow.
Yeah,
that is tough.
That's tough, too, because obviously when you want to surround Aaron with talent and stuff, and that's been a big question mark. Are they giving him enough? He also has a huge contract. And so if you have that big of a contract and those kind of situations, you got to be able to get the job done. Like, you have to win your team the game. And if you only put up 10 points, whoever that's on, the offensive coordinator, the offensive line, it always falls back on the quarterback.
Yeah. And it's happened enough times where you got to give him some blame. So I don't know. I do kind of hope he winds up somewhere else.
He moves on.
We can get we can cheer for two teams for a while.
Oh, I like that.
That's what I'm hoping for. So, you know what? We're just taking it day by day. You know,
it feels like a Monday now.
I don't want to jump into a relationship with anybody else too quickly. So it's taking some me time.
Welcome to The Riot, where you listen to us and that's it. It's pretty much a one-way street. The Riot. RadioU.
Get a load of this one, Isaiah. Being on a cruise ship, it comes with all kinds of different things you have to be aware of. You know, particularly COVID right now, but we've heard of norovirus cruises and all, where you've got all kinds of concerns, and yet people still continue to go on cruises. And then we've got to add one more concern into the list. You've got to add the concern that your cruise might be diverted because of an unpaid fuel bill.
What? The ship?
Yeah, you might be on a cruise that's basically on the run.
So they essentially stole gas.
Yeah,
go.
That's the what we are seeing here. This is the Crystal cruise ship. It was diverted to the Bahamas as it tried to escape an arrest warrant for an unpaid fuel bill.
Oh, so they went on the run. They tried to escape.
Yeah. They actually tried. And if the ship docked in Miami, the terms of the warrant would allow it to be seized, and they would have to repay $1.2 million in unpaid fuel.
No, $1.2 million?
Yeah.
So they've been running up fuel for a while.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. How much does it cost to pay for
well, you'd think that it wouldn't be $1.2 million for one trip.
Maybe not for one trip. It is Crystal Cruises. Is their Crystal Symphony ship. And so it was supposed to come back to Miami on Saturday after it's been out at sea for 14 days going around the Caribbean. But instead of returning to Miami, they've landed it in the Bahamas, where they are currently safe from having to. Crystal Cruises is safe from having to repay $1.2 million. How do you fuel up without paying?
What I'm thinking is what are they doing right now? They're just sitting there around like a big circle, and they're like, guys, we got to get some money together here. How are we going to pay this $1.2 million worth of fuel that we've been running up the past 14 days?
Yeah. Are they getting the passengers involved?
Yeah, they're like, hey, everybody get some money.
Are basically hostages, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, what are the passengers thinking in Bahamas right now? Oh, a little extended vacation, I guess. Yeah. An extra pit stop.
They're not gonna buy it at your job if you're like, I'm sorry, I'm stuck in the Bahamas. Oh, what, did somebody test positive for COVID? No, I'm on the run because of an unpaid fuel bill.
Yeah, apparently the ship actually didn't pay for any of the gas for the trip, so they actually have me stuck here for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, what is the ship thinking right now? Like, they have to go back. They can't just stop in the Bahamas and hide and not come back to the U.S.
Well,
they literally can't do that. They've
got to come up with some crackpot scheme to get $1.2 million.
How are they going to do that? They're going to steal it from the Bahamas, or what are they going to do?
Maybe it's the passengers. The passengers are hostages.
They're going to have to just shell out the money.
You cancel our debt, we will return the passengers to the United States.
Yeah, what are they
start
thinking?
Negotiating.
They just stopped in the Bahamas. I can't believe also, like you said, $1.2 million worth of fuel. What was their initial plan? Like, okay, we'll like pay it back. Like, okay, we're like $100,000 down the hole with some fuel. All of a sudden, it's $500K, $750. Now they're at 1.2. Who's paying the gas bills? Who's in charge of the gas? Like, who's in charge of this?
I want to know how the gas system works, where they're just able to keep fueling up and keep running up a tab.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
What kind of gas station is that?
I can never go to the gas station, just fill up and leave. Like, be like, okay, I'll get you guys next time. Next time I come through.
You might be thinking that this won't be quite as bad the second time around. Well, you'd be greatly mistaken. You're listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Isaiah is in this morning. Nikki has the day off, and she's had some time off now for what is actually, it's totaled a week of time off. A full week. Yeah. Going back to Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Nikki has been out, and she's given us permission to share the details of her confinement, because she, I'm sure a lot of people, if you're paying attention, you may have been able to guess. So Nikki's been out for a week, and that is because she tested positive for coronavirus.
Unfortunately.
Yes. She has been quarantining at home, and due to the nature of her symptoms, like we were hoping she would be back today, but that hasn't exactly panned out. That said, she's been, it's not like severe symptoms or anything. She's not like she's had to go to the hospital. It's just been enough where she says, I think the main issue that she's dealt with is that it has made her not able to sleep sometimes, nights, which how different is that from normal? But I think when you're confined to basically one room or in your house, I still don't know because this hasn't happened to me. But I would imagine you probably just want to waste a lot of the time sleeping. That's what I would want to do.
I would just want to sleep the entire time.
Yeah.
Just try to get through as many days as I can as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So she's in a worst of both worlds situation. Obviously it'd be worse if she was in the hospital, but the combo of she's still well enough that she has to do some work. She can't really do the show. Doing it remotely, it would just not, we have technology for that, it just really would not work. And Isaiah does such a great job of filling in anyway. So, why make Nikki get up early when she needs to rest and recover? But it is kind of a tough spot where she can't be here. She can't be doing the show. She can't be having the fun, but she also still has to do work from home work. And she also still is slightly sick, so it's just a big bummer. And we miss her, don't we, gang?
Oh, yeah. And the other thing is, too, if she's having trouble sleeping, it would kind of stink to be confined in one room and you're not able to sleep, so you're just sitting there. So what I think is going to happen is when Nikki comes back, she's going to be so caught up on every Netflix show, every single streaming, anything that's come out recently. She's going to have seen it all, so she can give us the full rundown on what's going on in all the streaming services.
She'll have lots of reviews, you think? Oh,
I think so. Well, what else would you do right now if you were stuck in a room? I would just be watching TV all the time.
I don't know. I just don't know
movies.
If the stuff that she's watching is going to be stuff that we want reviews on.
Oh, you don't think so?
I'm just concerned it's going to be a bunch of Korean TV shows that aren't Squid Game, and that won't really appeal a lot to the rest of us.
Hey, whatever she's watching, she can come in and she can talk about it. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. She's had it all pent up probably. She just wants to talk.
Yeah, exactly. Too. If I was stuck in a room by myself for a week, all I would want is just some human contact. That's all I would think about.
That would be quite a struggle. So Nikki will be back. We don't know exactly when. It's just all dependent kind of on how her symptoms clear up and a few other things. But it's also not just Nikki. Isaiah and I have been the few untouched when it comes to coronavirus at RadioU. A lot of the office has been knocked out with it. And some of them, nobody, again, as far as I know, nobody's gone to the hospital or anything, but a few have dealt with the symptoms pretty hard. So
pretty hard stuff. But for us, we've been able to sneak past without I tested negative on Friday, so I know I'm in the clear here.
Yeah, and I haven't had a symptom to speak of.
Yeah.
So, and I just got boosted the other day. So
there you go.
It was good timing. Good timing. I guess if I did have if I did get a symptom, it could have just been chalked up to
it's the booster shot.
Yeah. Yep. So we're hanging in there. Nikki's hanging in there. She'll be back. So no need to worry about her.
If you missed out on the next Riot moment when it originally aired, you don't know how lucky you are. You're listening to the Worst of the Riot podcast.
We've addressed the Packers football game and the concerns with that from over the weekend. And if you're wondering, I'm recovering okay, I think. We're still in the grieving process, but we're moving on. But there was also 3 other football games, and each one in the NFL really it was as entertaining as you could ask for. The crazy thing about the Packers game was it was actually the least entertaining, and it came down to a last-minute field goal. Every single game this weekend, it was like the best divisional slate ever for the playoffs, pretty much. I mean, every game was down to the wire. So, what is your takeaway? The biggest of the games was certainly last night, where the Bills and Chiefs were just trading haymakers, touchdown after touchdown. Eventually, the game goes to overtime, where the Chiefs wind up winning. What were you feeling watching all this over the weekend?
I mean, it was craziness. So much good football. There was a lot. I mean, the Rams-Buccaneers game as well. That was a great comeback from the Buccaneers. It almost felt like it almost felt like the games were scripted because of how, especially the Rams-Buccaneers game, how many turnovers there were. They let the Buccaneers back in the game when it seemed like they had it completely closed off. Same thing with the Bengals-Titans game. I thought the Bengals were going to run away with it. Then all of a sudden they made some quick mistakes, and the Titans were able to capitalize on those and come back. And then the Bills-Chiefs game last night just wrapped up all of them with just an incredible game. The only thing that I really took away is that I really hate overtime in the NFL, and I really want them to change that.
That was the big criticism that I saw everywhere last night in reaction to the Bills-Chiefs game was just, how can you end a game like that where Josh Allen comes down, he scores the game, what should be, or what you would expect would be the game-winning touchdown with 13 seconds left, and then not only does the game get tied up, but then they wind up losing in overtime without him ever getting to touch the ball again. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. I mean, obviously the Chiefs got the ball off of the coin flip with it, which is just like you have a 50-50 chance to get the ball. So it's pretty much just up to luck if you're going to get the ball first, and then they drive the field and score, and that's the game.
The one thing I could criticize Josh Allen for, and obviously it's not his fault they lost, except that he called tails.
Oh
and
my
he should have called heads.
I guess heads is the way.
Well, think about it. They were at Arrowhead. You want a head start. Buffalo has a head. I don't know.
Oh my gosh! I guess it's so obvious. You're right.
That he should have picked heads.
Clearly.
But, what is your overtime alternative? What can the NFL do? Because the college overtime also sucks in its own way.
I think even if they did, I would be happier with the college overtime than I would the NFL one. At least everybody gets a chance.
I agree, but the problem with college is, what do they start at, the 25-yard line?
Yeah, I would start at the 40 if I was doing
I would start at your own 25-yard line.
Your own 25.
Each team gets a shot or something. Or you can that's not all that different. But, each team should at least get a drive. I don't think it'd be the worst to have a 10-minute instead of doing 15 minutes and then just keep going. Just have it 10 minutes. Whoever's winning at the end of those 10 minutes, just make it another quarter, but a shorter quarter, just to hopefully shorten up the game a little bit. There's definitely options that are better than what they have now.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's the hardest part too, is it feels like the Bills, obviously they gave up 42 points, so their defense wasn't playing incredibly, but at the same time, their offense as well was carrying them the whole game, and then in overtime they just had no chance to kind of display what the best part of their team was, and so it makes it tough when you feel like you didn't have a chance.
All that said, I do have to criticize the Bills coaching staff. Because again, obviously Josh Allen played a great game. It's not his fault. You can't blame him. And the defense, after a long game like that, of course you're going to be spent. The Bills coaching staff could have really won that game and they made a basic mistake. That final kickoff, I told my wife, the kickoff that where they kicked it out of the end zone with 13 seconds left.
Yeah.
You kick that short enough that it lands in the playing field, to the 5-yard line.
So they have 7 seconds.
Yeah, so they're going to get a return to the 20-yard line. They're going to start closer to their end zone probably than they would have otherwise. And that's going to run almost all their time off the clock. It was a big mistake. And everybody, it's crazy that NFL coaches still can make such obvious mistakes.
Yeah, it hurts, especially because there's 13 seconds. You can't hold them for 13 seconds. That's all you had to do.
Right.
Defense, that's all you had to do.
Yep, they couldn't stop it. And now we have to watch more Patrick Mahomes, which some people appreciate his magic that he can do, but it's kind of frustrating to me. So.
Oh yeah, I'm over the whole Chiefs thing. I 100% wanted the Bills to win. I'm over the Chiefs. It's like everything, you know. They've had too many runs here in the past couple of years. I'd love to see somebody else take them out.
The Bengals are the only team I can cheer for in good conscience.
Yeah! You were one of the lucky few who missed the riot when they were live. Yet here you are.
I also like to live dangerously.
This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
Isaiah, see if you can explain this one to me. Sonic is coming out with their own hard seltzer.
Sonic is?
As in Sonic the Drive-In.
Well, Sonic makes fantastic slushies.
Yeah.
So my question is, are they going to sell these at Sonic, or is this going to be just in store, like at Kroger and Giant Eagle and Walmart and places like that, or are they going to be able to sell them in the actual drive-thru?
It says here that it is not available to be purchased at Sonic drive-in restaurants. This is just in your local liquor store, package store, or grocery store, gas station, wherever fine liquor is sold. You may find Sonic Hard Seltzer. It says they started testing it in Oklahoma in May of 2021, and by the end of this year, you'll find it across the country. Right now, it's in about 29 states.
It has 2 different variety packs. It says tropical and citrus. Let's see what we think of these flavors.
Okay.
All right, the tropical pack is ocean water, melon medley, mango guava, and orange pineapple.
Okay.
Where the other pack, which is what the citrus pack, is cherry limeade, original limeade, classic lemonade, and lemon berry.
See, that doesn't sound so bad.
See, I think the second one, which is all like the limeade, that's kind of what I think of more Sonic is, because whenever I go to Sonic, I immediately every single time will either get like a strawberry slush or a lemonade slush every single time. So that's kind of what like their thing is, I feel like.
I'm a big cherry limeade guy. I know ocean water is like that's a typical Sonic flavor, but it's a horrible name for a flavor.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You don't want to taste ocean water.
It has like a coconut on it. That's what the picture is.
Oh, that makes it even worse.
It makes it look so bad.
It's like salty coconut. That sounds horrible.
Great.
Well, I don't understand Sonic doing this, because Sonic, okay, so they're not selling it at Sonic restaurants, but yet Sonic in the past, I know, has come out with like alcoholic drink inspired slushes. Like you get a margarita slush that wasn't alcoholic.
Yeah.
And it's just very confusing branding that Sonic, you can't buy alcohol at Sonic, but we'll sell Sonic alcohol not at Sonic. And meanwhile, if you were to go to Sonic, is it like a thing? Are people mixing drinks in their cars at Sonic? Because that doesn't seem safe.
No,
but
definitely
it kind of feels like what Sonic is encouraging you
That's
to do.
probably why they can't sell it in the drive-thru, is because they can't have
an open container.
No, exactly. So they're like, well, we can't exactly sell these through the drive-thru. Maybe the drive-in. Maybe they just need to make it like drive-in only. But also, you just sit in your cars when you go to Sonic.
You have to take a breathalyzer test before you can leave the parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's just it doesn't make any sense unless there's some kind of community that I don't understand of people that go to Sonic and just get loaded. Like that's their thing. It's like, all right, guys, we'll get let's go. And it's 4 people in a car and they all order the margarita slush and then they dump their vodka or whatever they have in it. I don't know. I wouldn't advise it, but that feels like what Sonic is encouraging you to, like, hey, I know you're not supposed to drink here, but we got the margarita slush.
And then we got the hard seltzers now, too.
Yeah, bring your own alcohol.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll provide the rest.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I feel like they're saying.
I don't know. When they put these out in stores, we'll see how they do, because they are known. Like, they're well known for good slushies.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. They've got the slushies down.
They've got the good flavors down. 100 calories, 1 gram of sugar.
This is The Riot. RadioU.
Let's go to Midland, Michigan, home of RadioU 1017.
Yes.
Where their superintendent at their school has actually had to make an interesting announcement, an interesting clarification. Last week, the district superintendent for Midland Public Schools had to clarify, Michael Sharrow is his name, he had to clarify and deny that litter boxes were not being kept in bathrooms for student furries.
Wait, they were not. So yes. there wasn't litter boxes.
There is no litter boxes in the Midland public school system.
Interesting thing you have to clarify.
Yeah, well, there was a rumor that was going around. They pinpointed it. It even goes back to December of last year, December 20th. It was brought up at a Board of Education meeting. And so the rumor has been swirling since then. And finally, Superintendent Shero has denied that they are keeping litter boxes in bathrooms for student furries.
Do they have for student furries?
Yeah.
And so that means like people who I like to want to be a cat. Okay, gotcha. So they're saying that there's no litter boxes for those students.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
Well, I don't know if they're saying that that there's no litter box. I mean, they're definitely saying there's no litter boxes. Is that because the furries haven't requested them, or because they don't think that it's necessary, but they have been requested? I don't know.
All I know is I think that if it came down to it, I could easily urinate in a litter box.
You do?
I think
that's what your mind goes to?
That's what I went to for me.
You don't think it'd be that weird?
I mean, no. I mean, for me, if I had to, if it came down to it, I feel like it'd be a pretty easy spot for me to go.
You think?
Would that be my preferred location? No. But if I had very few options, if you got RadioU, one day the toilets were broken down and the bathrooms were broken down, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, all we have is like this litter box from someone's cat." I'm like, "Oh well, I mean, I guess that'll work." I don't know.
I think the urinating wouldn't be an issue. I think if it came down to it and you had to squat over the...
Oh, no
that would
chance.
be another level.
No
I don't
way.
think I can handle that.
I'm waiting until I go home.
If you think about it, though, let's think about this. There's a lot of concern about the environment, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it might be more environmentally conscious if we all switch to litter boxes
instead of like a urinal? Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it's a waste of water. Like think about how much water is used in toilets.
That's true, but what even
and
is
all the resources that are dumped into that?
I've never had a cat. Is the litter box just sand? Is that what it is?
It depends on what kind of litter you get.
Okay.
It's kind of like really tiny little rocks.
Wait, is that what it's called? That's called litter?
Litter, yes.
I thought litter was like what we were talking about for like the waste
like
of
garbage?
The cats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
that's
litter,
like their litter.
It's called cat litter.
It's a box of
kitty
poop,
litter.
essentially.
Yeah, it is a box of litter that contains the poop.
Interesting.
Litter, it's meant to absorb the urine, and some cat litter will clump up when the cat goes, because then you can just scoop that out and keep the rest of the litter fresh.
I don't want to scoop it.
That's where it starts to get bad, right?
I'm not scooping my own.
Yeah, I don't want to scoop.
I'm doing the urinal.
Yeah.
I was with it for a second.
Is what I'm getting.
No, I would rather be able to just go in the urinal and flush the toilet than have to go in the litter box. Which going in the litter box would be the bad part, but if I've got to scoop out my own urine, that's just not it for me. It's not it.
You're not going to do that.
I would rather flush the toilet.
Well, I was just thinking you have a liner and then you just pull up the whole. You never have to scoop. You just empty a whole bag. But still, that's a tough thought there. Well, the furries also want to clarify that being a furry is like dressing up in a costume representing an animal, perhaps a cat in this instance. It doesn't mean that you actually want to like go in a litter box. Even the furries aren't that.
Even they're like, this is even too far for us. Even for us,
this is too far. We want to be a cat.
Hudson, Nikki, The Riot on RadioU.
We know the coronavirus, the Omicron variant.
Heard of it?
It's going everywhere.
Familiar.
It is. They just keep saying. I keep feeling like it's peaked, but then they keep saying no, it's not going to peak until February in a lot of the country. So I don't know. It's still running rampant for the moment. And with that being said, people are trying to make sure that they are properly tested. They're trying to, get the at-home COVID-19 tests that we've heard a lot about. But those are high demand, right? You can only get so many. So some people in some families are using one individual at-home COVID-19 test, and they're using it on multiple people in the household.
See, this doesn't seem... I know they say this is dumb, they say this is wrong, but in my mind, this seems not that bad.
It makes sense to you?
It makes sense to me. It really does.
You don't live with family, but you live with a roommate.
Yeah, I could defend this, I think.
You and your roommate, you're gonna share a COVID test?
I would feel confident if we shared a COVID test that it would come out as an accurate result, even though it says it's inaccurate.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just saying that so that you don't do it.
Well, so think about how you have to get tested, right?
Oh, yeah, the nostrils.
So if you're the first person, it's fine. You stick it up
good.
your nostril. You're supposed to do your throat too, right?
No, you just do the nose.
That's the new thing, is they're saying if you're doing it at home, maybe it's just for kids or something, but I've seen, this is why coronavirus, it's all so terrible because nobody actually knows.
No, we have no idea what we're doing.
We're not actually reading what the experts are actually saying. We're reading the headlines. We're getting bits and pieces that we remember. And so what I remember is they're talking about some people you need to swab your throat and your nose.
Oh,
so you're sticking,
man.
Either way, no, it doesn't even matter if you have to swab your throat. You're sticking a thing up your nose. And then if you're second in line, then you're going to stick that same thing that just went up somebody else's nose. You're going to stick it up your own nose.
Hey, we're down bad around here.
With that.
We're down bad around here. We're down bad.
You're saying
we
you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. And also, listen. If there's COVID in there, I mean, I've done the at-home COVID test.
Yeah.
You do the one nostril, you swing it around there. You do the other nostril, you swing it around there.
Yeah.
And then obviously, if I was sharing with my roommate, I would just hit the nostrils. Toss it over to him. He'd hit the nostrils. We toss it in there. We've got 4 nostrils. If it comes out as positive, we know that one of us has it.
Yeah.
But if it comes out as negative, then we're good to go. That means we're both good.
All of you are negative. But think about this. What if one of you has it, one of you don't, one of you doesn't? And so you stick it up your nose. You've got COVID. Now it's on your nose. And then you stick it in your roommate's nose. And then he didn't have it, but now he does because he got it from your swab out of your nose.
Yet again, it's the risk we run. It's the risk we run.
It's a dumb risk.
It is the risk we run. I live with him anyway. If he adds it, I have it. That's what it comes down to. So if you're inside the same household, you might as well be sharing. I mean, we're sharing everything else.
Do not listen to Isaiah.
We're sharing everything else.
Absolutely terrible advice. Health experts call it, they're saying it's intranasal promiscuity.
Well, nobody knows what that means.
It means that every swab that your nose touches is touched, and when it touches somebody else's nose, it's touching every swab they've ever touched. And the thing they used to tell you in your kids when you kiss, like if you kiss somebody, you're kissing everybody they've ever kissed. That's what you're doing with these nose swabs.
What?
If you nose swab and you share it with somebody else, then you're kissing everybody they've ever kissed. Is what I'm telling you.
So let me ask you this then: would you share a Q-tip with me?
No, why would I do that?
Well, if it came down to it, you wouldn't share a Q-tip with me?
No, why would I? I don't need a Q-tip that bad. If you use it before me, use it before me, I'm not touching it.
You're down bad. Your ears are like they're feeling real wet. You're like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
I'm going to get a Kleenex. I'm not even going to touch it with my own 2 hands to put it in the garbage. Don't offer it to me. If you see one of my Q-tips lying around, I guess feel free.
It's only a matter of time.
But this is do not share at-home COVID tests. 1 test per person. It's gross, and it can spread the coronavirus between you and your whole family.
I can't wait till like a week from now or so. All of a sudden, I'm just like, man, I cannot get my hands on a COVID test. Yeah. I'm like, actually, oddly enough, I'm about to take one. If you want to jump in with me, we partner up. We figure out if either of us have it.
It's fine. I'll just quarantine anyways.
That's like I would rather be at home.
I'd rather be at home. I don't think it would be that bad.
All right, I guess you won't be sharing any Q-tips anytime soon.
Do not take health advice from Isaiah.
At
least it's not a lot when it comes to COVID-19.
The Riot Podcast. RadioU.
We have a student in the UK. He's 15 years old. He has just lost both of his nipples.
Oh, it's never a good day when you lose a nipple.
His nipples are gone.
It's never a good day to lose a nipple.
It's never a good time. And you might think like they're unnecessary, right?
Nipples, for men,
they
yes.
provide no actual functional purpose.
Other than like aesthetically pleasing. I'm not even aesthetically pleasing. Just an aesthetic
They're
look.
weird to look at, actually, if you just stare at them.
If I'm at the beach, I would like to have a pair of nipples just so I can look like everybody else.
You just don't want to stand out,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I don't want to be nippleless at the beach.
For this 15-year-old boy, that's what's going to happen to him.
Oh, no, so young to lose a nipple.
So what happened was he was with some friends where they dared him to squirt 2 cans of body spray on each, I guess like 1 can on each nipple.
This is a weird dare.
It is a weird.
Who came up with this?
What were you doing when you were 15?
I wasn't like, hey.
It wasn't this
2
weird,
cans.
but it was pretty weird.
You think you can handle 1? How about 2 cans on the nipples? Do 1 each.
1 can each. Here, we'll spray them for you.
Yeah.
So I guess they spray the cans of body spray, 1 on each nipple, and the boy who they've saved his dignity by not naming him.
Oh man!
But this was in the school changing room, so they empty the cans onto his chest, and then someone. This is horrible. This is where it's bad.
Oh no!
Someone flicked his nipples.
No!
Yeah, somebody just went ahead Gave him the old flick.
The good old nipple flick.
Yeah, and they it says they popped off.
They popped off.
They popped off. So what did they just like fly off and land on the ground?
What is in a Lynx spray of can, like a spray can of what is it, like an Axe? Like what is in there?
He said for the boy,
flicked off. What?
He said at first it's just cold. It's not really a big thing, and then it starts to burn, and then you're just waiting there for it to finish. Have you've used this is Lynx. I do believe, although I'm not 100% sure, that Lynx is Axe. It's just by a different name. Like it's the same exact company.
Okay.
It's just a different name for in the UK where this happened. So these are Lynx. Have you ever used Axe body spray?
Yeah, like in 5th grade.
Yeah, right. Well, he was at 15. He's just on the maybe a little old.
He's just a little old for Axe, but it's okay.
But did you ever spray like a little too much where you could feel it? Like, this is kind of starting to get a little painful.
Are you asking me if I sprayed Axe on my nipples? If so, no.
Not your nipples, but in your armpits. You ever sprayed in your armpits and it got a little sensitive?
I never had that happen.
Never sprayed too much.
I was never coding up like that. Like I was always just kind of like, I wasn't that generous.
You kept it at a reasonable amount.
Yeah, I was never stinking up the whole locker room with the Axe.
He says it was all fine and
it was all fun and games. So he lost a nipple.
He was freezing his nipples, flicked his nipples, and that's when the nipples fell off.
If you flicked my nipple and it popped off, I'd hate you forever.
So this is a good quote though. He says, "Have you ever seen a wart? It was like that. It was like, when you get rid of a wart." So I guess what he's saying is, if you have a wart, why
you know what to do.
Yeah, Axe body spray, not that expensive. Freeze it off with Axe body spray.
How do you recover from losing the nips? Like,
I don't know.
How do you recover?
I don't think you can get like nipple replacement surgery.
I don't think I'd want them anyway. I mean, if I lose the nipples, I don't want fake ones. I'm not gonna get fake nipples on me.
Think about going through life, like you're an adult and people see you with your shirt off, and you have to explain. When I was
what
15.
happened?
Yeah, that's going to be a tough
I'm
one.
wearing a swimming shirt. Like, I'm 100% if I'm going to the beach, I'm wearing a shirt. I don't care. I'll just tell people I have fair skin. I don't want to get burnt. That's what I would say.
No one will see you shirtless until you get married.
Everything you love about the Riot, plus a handy-dandy fast-forward option. This is the Worst of the Riot podcast.
He lost both of his nipples. I mean, I think he found them, but his nipples have been disconnected from the rest of his body thanks to a dare where I guess one other student, one of his classmates, sprayed an entire can of Axe body spray on each nipple and then flicked them off. And so we've gotten some great responses of like just trying to imagine this whole situation going down.
Yeah, Matt texted in. He said, why after the first one being lost would he let them do it again?
Yeah.
And I responded, I said, you got to think it was a simultaneous flick, right?
It had to be. They were both sprayed at the same time, and then it took two hands and went bloop.
Yeah,
and
you
just flicked them both at the same time.
So then Matt replies and said, I can imagine they're on each side of him, flicking towards each other. What if the nips hit the flickers in the face?
Oh, no.
I said a cold nipple to the face, nothing worse.
Yeah.
A cold nip to the face.
That would be...
And then you think, too,
that'd be
like...
awkward for everybody
You
involved.
think that the nipples obviously hit the ground, right? Do you keep them?
Do you pick them up?
Shrivel up? Do you hold on to those? What do you do with those?
Do you just leave them there because you're too embarrassed, and then like
them?
the janitor comes and finds and he
sweeps it up?
Very confused about that situation.
Do you go for a reattachment? I mean, if it was me, I'd be scrambling.
Yeah.
I'd be scrambling to pick them up.
I don't know if you could reattach them, but
I would be holding on to them just in case.
Yeah,
it's like when somebody like chips their tooth. Sometimes they try to keep the tooth because sometimes they can reattach it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but maybe I don't know if that works with a nipple
or a severed finger.
Oh,
you
man.
try to get that reattached.
Let alone,
yeah, I don't know.
I feel like it'd be a relatively easy thing to reattach, don't you think?
I don't know. It's a sensitive area.
You just kind of paste it back on there.
Do you want stitching all over your nipples? What looks worse?
What would you rather have?
Yeah,
no nipple or a stitched nipple?
Yeah, I don't think I want a stitched nipple.
I would rather have a stitched nipple than no nipple at all.
You might look a lot like Frankenstein.
But at the same time,
Frankenstein's nipples.
We haven't looked at the positives to this either.
Okay, there's positives?
Yeah, there's positives. You can wear a lot tighter shirts because you don't have to worry about being out in the cold and getting a hard nipple.
That's a good point.
And being able to see the nipple through the shirt.
Sure, that's a positive.
You never have to worry about that again.
That is
so I
a
guess
positive.
you can buy that size down now in the chest and not have to worry about the nips peeking through.
That's a good point.
Other than that, that's about the only positive I've got so far.
Yeah. Well, he says I was reading a bit more about the story. And he seems to have he's just moved on with it.
He's in positive life here.
Yeah, it's all worked out okay for him. He says most people just react with disbelief and then eventually just kind of laugh and That's what his first girlfriend did.
Oh,
she started laughing.
She was like, "Oh, no more nipples."
You're gonna break up with somebody because they don't have nipples?
I mean, at the end of the day, what for a man? Like, what is a nipple
what's
even?
the point?
What even is it there for?
It's unnecessary.
How often is someone seeing you with your shirt off anyway? Like, very, very seldom is anybody seeing me with my shirt off unless I'm at the beach, at the pool,
Yeah.
So, like, are they really not that necessary, Obviously, they see you without the nipples, you tell the story, they get a good laugh, and then we all move on from that.
Yeah. And I don't think that's something you're thinking about.
No, like,
with the person later on.
She's talking to her
he's
friends.
The no nipple guy.
He's a great guy, but he doesn't have nipples. Like, how do I continue this relationship if he's a nippleless man? Like, nobody's saying that.
Getting advice from your friends.
Yeah, he's so sweet, but just no nipples on him. I don't know.
Not sure if it's going to work. He doesn't have nipples.
No nipples. So
I also like that as reading on, I found that this boy, he wound up going back to class as if nothing had happened.
Continued on with the day.
Yeah, he continued on with the day until people started to realize that his shirt he had blood spots.
Oh, did he have blood?
Yeah, so he had bloody nipples. So.
That's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know if I'd be able to return to class. If I lost my nipples, I'd be pretty down bad. Yeah. I'd have to head home for the day, I think.
It would. What's more embarrassing though? I guess. Going to class and having bloody nipples. That's probably pretty
I'll come back tomorrow after no more bleeding. Everybody will forget,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out of there.
Nobody has to
know.
know.
Yeah. No one. How will they know?
Who will know?
They'll never know.
That's enough of that. For more Riot content, head to riot.radiou.com.